Hello, welcome. Take two for the second day in a row. My internet totally jumped another Wi-Fi, so I totally lost connection. So hopefully those that were watching, I know I had a few of you that had tuned in. Hopefully you will find this again, and hopefully my internet stays with me this time. So I'll wait a couple minutes just for Facebook to do its thing and let everyone know that I'm going live. We are here for part 2 of 5 about eliminating your anxiety. Yesterday's video, I encourage you to go watch it if you have not seen it. We talked about the stress response, which is kind of the foundation of how you develop anxiety and where anxiety can stem from. The sense of fight or flight, it is important. It's a brilliant tool for our body to use, but when we are in a constant state of fight or flight, it sends us into anxiety for some of us. So today I wanted to talk about what are the harmful effects of anxiety, to be in this constant state of fight or flight. What starts to happen to our mind, body, and soul? So I will go ahead and get started on that. So this constant state of anxiety, it can totally devastate your mind, your body, your spirit. It can tailspin your life out of control if we don't do something about it. So understanding that these harmful effects of anxiety, yeah, they can kind of feel daunting. Yeah, they feel like, oh, well, I can't do anything about this. But there is hope in understanding what you have going on and then treating the root cause, the triggers, the symptoms, the signs, and putting in these really simple daily practices. You can gain control over your life and you can decrease your risk for some major chronic diseases on all levels of being. So if you're here and you've ever said this next statement, I know I've said it, I have it throughout my journals, it's the same sentence over and over again, is I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So if you've ever felt that way, whether on a mind, a body, or spirit, put a comment down below, say me too, send me some love, let me know, because we're not alone in this. There's a lot of us that just constantly feel exhausted, we feel sick, we feel just, both of those at once, and it really can affect our life and how we operate through the world. So what I want to talk about are physical effects, mental effects, and the emotional effects, but then also how it affects our life. So as I go through these, if you've noticed that you've experienced these, whether it's on an acute level just sometimes or like all the time severe level, whatever part of the continuum on, let me know if you've noticed these, because it's insight to what's going on for you underneath. And that's the threads we start to pull when we want to eliminate anxiety. So we know persistent fear and worry are the well-known anxiety symptoms and signs. And you might be less familiar with these next ones, which are physical symptoms, physical diseases that manifest in our body. This also, maybe you're like, well, I don't know if I really have anxiety. You might be unaware that you are experiencing it, because anxiety has its fingerprints all over these physical effects. And that actually may be the root cause to your physical disease. So I want to start with musculoskeletal. So those are our muscles, our bones, and all of the connections there through that. If you think about it, when we're in a constant state of fight or flight, our muscles are tense at all times because we're ready and we're prepared to flee or fight. If that's happening on a chronic state, like you're always tense and tight, that can lead to body pain. That can be chronic pain you feel. It can lead to tension headaches and migraines. If you're constantly tense, it's like you're doing a workout all day, all night. So you can imagine how exhausted you would feel. If you're in this tense, tight state, it's really hard to relax and fall asleep. So maybe you experience insomnia. So those are some of the musculoskeletal effects. When you are and you have anxiety, these are some things that you may not realize are actually symptoms of having anxiety. I know for me, I used to get migraines on a weekly basis, and it would leave me totally just out of commission for 2 or 3 days, and it would take me a while to recover, and then I'd be right back into the cycle. It took me so long to correlate anxious, stressful situations to tension headache, to migraine, to having to recover. But once I realized that I could put a tool in place and stop those from happening, and since I've been putting these proven practices into place, I have maybe one migraine here and there, a lot of times a hormonal based one. So if you've experienced any of those, let me know down below. The next one I want to talk about is respiratory. And if you think about this, when we're in a fight or flight, we're in this anxious state, we have this rapid, short, shallow breathing. So you can imagine that we're never actually pulling in really deep, full breaths, which our body uses to relax, uses to get full oxygen in and the CO2 out of our body. So if we're not having that balance, we're kind of over oxygenated. There also can be things that happens with your lungs. Asthma and COPD have some association. A lot of people who have those two things also have anxiety. So now whether one causes the other, anxiety can impact the ability to manage asthma and COPD. The next one is cardiovascular. Anxiety and the physical effects that go along with it were heightened. Our blood is being pumped by our heart a lot. So we're in this state of hyperarousal. It actually increases your risk of heart disease and coronary events. If you already have a genetic predisposition for that and you have anxiety, you are going to want to put some tools in place to lessen that risk. The next one is gastrointestinal, or your digestive system. So again, when we're in fight or flight, our body is going to either eliminate whatever's in the bowels so that you are able to flee or fight better, or with a chronic state of fight or flight, it actually does a number on your digestive system in the sense of like relaxing the muscles. So things are just not working properly. So there are some associations that IBS has a root in anxiety. So if you have IBS, now again, all of these are diseases or illnesses. Always talk to your doctor first, but bring up that you have anxiety because they may not ask that question. But IBS and other chronic stomach issues can also be a harmful effect of always being in a state of fight or flight, always having all of the physiological things going on because of anxiety. Then the next one is your hormones. So when your fight or flight is kicked in, there's 3 main hormones that are released into your system to, again, prepare you to fight or flee. Those are adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol. So you may have heard a couple of those, but what I want to touch on here is this long-term activation of the stress response means that you have this overexposure to cortisol and the other stress hormones. What this can do is literally disrupt all of your body's processes, and that can lead to the chronic disease and even obesity, and it can affect your blood sugar. So if, again, you may not realize, well, I have that stuff going on. I never realized that my anxiety could be the root cause to it, that these are actually symptoms of anxiety or close correlation or associations of if you have a heightened state of anxiety, that it could be almost lessening your ability to heal from those diseases or to provide the environment for your body to heal. So for me, I mentioned the migraines. I've also had a stress-induced anxiety-based IBS situation, which was if you have IBS, it's tough to do. You don't know what to eat. You need to be near a bathroom. It's sometimes embarrassing. I had this upper gastric pain to the point where I was actually physically getting sick. I was going into the doctor. They have no idea where it stemmed from. And then I met with someone who was like, do you have stress in your life? Are you anxious all the time? I was like, yes. They're like, okay, where do you feel your anxiety? And for me, a lot of my physical symptoms are right where this upper gastric area is. So again, in my head, I'm like, oh, it's a physical symptom. There's no way my anxiety, which is a mental, emotional thing, is manifesting physically early on in my journey. But now I know for sure that this was a direct symptom to my anxiety. I think I was around 20, and I was on stage 4 of 7 towards complete adrenal fatigue and exhaustion. I was totally, like I just had chronic fatigue at all times. I would sleep, I don't know, 10 hours at night, and then I would sleep for another 3 or 4 hours during the day. I would be at work. I was a personal trainer, so one-on-one, and I'd literally fall asleep during the session, standing up or sitting down. And that at 20, you're like, I'm in my prime. Why am I feeling this awful? But it's because for so many years, I stayed in this fight or flight state. I never gave my body a chance to come back down. And so eventually your body, again, it's really smart, has a ton of wisdom. It's going to stop you in your tracks to get you to pay attention to what you need to work through. So again, Ashley, yeah, totally poster child. I'm a poster child for all of this too. But the cool thing is, like, this is information, this is knowledge, and we can do something about it. So this is not, again, you're not stuck here. This isn't permanent. It's not an absolute truth that you're always going to have anxiety, but you will have to be willing to do some work and to face some fears and some monsters that are underneath, to become present, which is, there's a process for some of us to get to that point, to notice when things are going on in your body. But yeah, so again, if you have any questions on any of that, I kind of ran through it quickly, but just know this: anxiety, a heightened stress response, it totally wreaks havoc on all levels of the body. And then this was an interesting, about 30% of people with anxiety go through life untreated. So all those symptoms, they have no idea that anxiety is causing it. So this is where I encourage you, talk to your primary care, talk to any other alternative health professionals that you work with. Let them know that you have anxiety and you're curious about exploring how that might be manifesting physically. All right. So moving on to mental emotional. This is something that we kind of know more of in the sense of anxiety. We know this is where it sits pretty heavily. So on a mental level, having anxiety can affect your learning, your memory, your judgment. So if you've ever been in a position, I know I have, where you're like, why did I just do that? It's because it's affecting your judgment. It's affecting your ability to totally, in an objective way, bring awareness and analyze what's going on. And then you have a weird reaction, you have just this automatic reaction, but that's because of anxiety. It can also affect your focus and concentration. So if you ever feel like my head's in the clouds, or I'm not able to focus, might have this monkey mind jumping around, anxiety is the root cause to that. This is an effect. This is a symptom and a sign of anxiety. Now, on an emotional level, and this is one that also took me a little while to totally connect and be aware of, that anger, the emotion of anger, can actually stem from anxiety. So if you think anxiety is from a place of fear or powerlessness, the next step up is anger, right? You're angry that you feel that way. You're angry that your power was taken away. So it's a natural response to feeling that way. Irritability, if you snap really quick, or you're really quick to, be, picking a fight. I know I used to say that all the time, that, well, I don't know why I started that fight. I don't know why I brought that up. I don't know why I was seeking that. Again, it was because I was coming from a place of anxiety, of an anxious feeling, and I needed to get to the next best feeling, which can be anger and irritability. Oh yeah, Ashley, totally retreating. That was my go-to. I would either sleep, or I would go for a run, which is not necessarily terrible, or I'd disassociate. I wouldn't even be here on the physical plane. I'd be way up in the ethers. But yeah, there's definitely things that we can do to help kind of pull those together and merge them and integrate them. Yes, Evelyn, totally. Anxiety disorder on the whole continuum, all of them, so very real. So very real. Postpartum rage. Yep. Totally. Feel that one. Okay, so the last little segment that I want to talk about is the harmful effects of anxiety on your life, your love, your happiness, your spirituality. So when you have anxiety, it totally alters your perception of your reality. So the opportunities and options you have in front of you, they go from, there's all of these options and opportunities, to either none or maybe one. And it's usually not the one you are hoping for. It affects your perception of your abilities and your capacity to do things. Again, these are all very real things that we experience when we have anxiety. And then the last one is all of the possibilities and all of the potentiality, the potentials out there for you on all levels of wellness. So you're talking financial, you're talking intimate relationship, love, and on all levels, friends, families, coworkers, yourself, your child. It can affect your environment, how you take care of your home and the environment around you. It can affect your occupation, your mental, emotional, physical wellness, even sexual wellness. Anxiety has harmful effects on all of these. So let me know down below if any one of these effects that I've talked about, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, or on your life and your ability to see reality as it is. Let me know which one is most noticeable and which one is most impacting your ability to feel free, fearless, to feel in control of your life in any capacity, physical, mental, emotional. And then tomorrow, I'm going to do another video, so part 3 of 5, and we're going to be talking about seeing, where am I here? Whoop, lost myself. On how you know if the anxiety that you're experiencing is preventing you from living the fullest life possible. As I mentioned yesterday, we are all so deserving and so worthy of living a life that is free and full of love and is just so exciting, so blissful, so peaceful. We're worthy of that. We're deserving of that. It's just a matter of knowing where you are, where you want to get to be, and the tools to get you there. So come back tomorrow for that. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. I am here. I am with you on this. I've experienced it myself. I've been down in the depths. I've pulled myself out, slid back, and then pulled myself back out again. So I know what it's like. So I appreciate you all being here, and I wish you the best for today. Mwah. Bye.